What's up everybody, Vidagahn here with the Bone Necromancer build showcase for those who want to mess with Lilith a little early. Make sure you have an elixir of resourcefulness. It's literally the best potion for a necro, so get one if you don't have one. You'll need to go to Helltides, get the mystery chest, try to do like all 4 per Helltide, and then you might luck out. That is a good way to farm it. So starting with the Deathless Visage though, moving to the build. We've got a max physical damage roll, decent total armor, maximum essence, and a pretty low critical strike damage with bone skills roll, but you wanna, you at least want to make sure you've got your maximum essence and physical damage pretty good. The better all these rolls that you can get, the better you're gonna do, of course. And the aspect, that's above average, so just try to shoot for something like that. For your chest, we've got the 18% damage reduction from distant, the maximum life, the total armor, the bone skill damage. You guys can see why that'd be important. That's what I shoot for my chest armor, period. And then I've got the disobedience aspect to make sure I have more armor as I'm attacking Lilith. Because I mean, look at my armor, it's 6951. You need what you can get. The gloves, that's 11.3% critical strike chance, the attack speed, chance to restore primary resource, and ranks of bone spear. You're going to need to be critting, you're going to want to crit quickly, you're going to want to restore your resource with your gloves, and then you're going to want to have that bone spear rank be higher because you're going to be getting really good scaling off the ability. You need that 4 ranks of bone spear. For your legs, you're going to want your maximum life, you're going to want your all stats. If you don't have all stats, that's fine. Maximum life, total armor is good. Those 2 are all that I really shoot for, but all stats, I think it's just OP. The aspect there, where your basic skills grant 20% damage reduction for 6 seconds, the whole key, point of the fight with Lilith is to make sure that your maximum essence is high. The only way to do that, other than having your gloves restore primary resource, would be to throw your bone splinters. So you have to use your core and then alternate with your bone splinters, just to make sure that you're not dumping so much of your essence that you just have no damage at all. Bone necromancers do their damage when they have a lot of essence to spare, so you don't want to just drain yourself of all of it and then lose all your damage. I think I forgot to mention the ossified essence key passive here. You want to have that. It's going to extend the key passive that you'll be choosing as a bone necromancer. The ossified essence key passive. So just if you weren't aware, the ossified essence key passive increases the critical strike damage of your bone skills multiplicatively. This adds an additive bonus. Check out the boots. So we've got movement speed, we've got dodge, chance, intelligence, and ranks of corpse tendrils. Pretty self-explanatory there. You're going to want your movement speed just to be able to move, your intelligence to hit harder, your ranks of corpse tendrils to also hit harder, and really hit harder with your corpse tendrils, because you're going to be making them vulnerable, and you're going to have your grasping essence activating off that. The aspect I'm using is a critical strikes grant 16% movement speed for 1 second, up to 6 seconds, just to give me a little bit more movement as I try to dodge those one-hit mechanics. Then if you look at the two-handed sword here, this is really the most important piece, or one of them. You've got to have a two-handed sword. Don't use scythes. That innate critical strike damage is super important. You want your vulnerable damage high, you want your core skill damage high, and you want your critical strike damage with bone skills high because each of those function as their own buckets. So if you have high vulnerable damage, if you have high core skill damage, and if you have high critical strike damage, in a multiplicative way, with the vulnerable and with the critical strike damage, you're really increasing your damage. The core skill damage is making it so that that 4 ranks on your bone spear that's already increasing your scaling is going to be even better. So you're really trying to improve your character from various aspects. The all stats, super self-explanatory. Would you rather 120 intelligence or like 320 skill points across multiple stats, where at least 81 of them are going to intelligence? Said that way, I think it's clear why we would choose all stats here. Especially when you're going early and you want to kind of round yourself out. So Bone Spear's primary attack makes enemies hit beyond the first vulnerable for 4.2 seconds. Check out the aspect. It's not even maxed. So if you've got a decent weapon, you don't have to worry too much about the aspect. Just get as best as you can. Amulet of Grasping Banes. So we're getting 3 ranks to the corpse skills, total armor, strength, and 3 ranks of the compound fracture. Passive, I can tell you, you're definitely going to want the ranks to the corpse skills, you're definitely going to want the total armor. Strength, not so much. That doesn't increase your armor nearly as much as the total armor would itself. So if you can get a damage stat, or if you can get something else, that's cool. For the 3 ranks of the compound fracture passive, honestly, just shoot for Evulsion. If you get compound fracture, it can work. I have it. That's what I used to defeat Lilith in my 93 video. So, and by the way, this build it shows I'm 95 right now. I haven't changed a thing. Also, just going back to the Grasping Banes on this amulet, it's not maxed, but I do believe that the best aspect for your amulet is going to be the Grasping Banes as opposed to the Ossified Essence Key passive. That's because this is a multiplicative damage, whereas the Ossified Essence Key passive is just additive. Then I have the Consuming a Corpse increases the damage of your next core skill by 10% multiplicative. Walking near a corpse. Oh, okay. So let me just say that before you don't actually want the vicious heart that I have here. Let me just be clear. You want the ring that you want the vicious heart that would increase your damage multiplicatively, but sacrifice like 300 something of your life. If you guys really want me to, I can literally share more details in like the comments or something, but all you need is, this is kind of like the best example of what ring you would have: vulnerable damage, critical strike chance, and maximum essence with way better rolls. The aspect on this ring would not be Consuming a Corpse increases the damage of your next core skill. It would be that skills are, it's the Edge Master aspect. So you'd have the one that basically increases the damage that you output multiplicatively by proportional to how much essence you have left. So you're going to have a ring that has vulnerable damage, critical strike chance, maximum essence, the Edge Master's aspect, and then a vicious heart that is sacrificing some of your life to increase your damage multiplicatively. Moving on from that, this Loop of Inner Calm. This ring is much worse than the ring I just showed you. You want to have the vulnerable damage, the critical strike damage, the critical strike chance, and the maximum essence. The aspect of Inner Calm that I have at 9% is fine, but ideally you have the 10% so that you can get to that 30% multiplicative quicker. And if you look at that Vicious Heart, you gain 79% additive critical strike damage, but your non-critical strikes deal 40% multiplicative less damage. So you really want to make sure you're critting here. So that's pretty much the build. Now I can take you through some of these stats. Notice my intelligence is only 716, everything else is pretty decently low. You can see my critical strike damage is pretty high. So that's you add that together, and that's your multiplicative value for strikes based on this number, weapon damage. You've got your vulnerable damage, make sure that's good, and then everything else is going to be additive. Maximum life, get that pretty high. And your maximum essence, mine's actually really low, so if you can get that higher than me and then use an elixir of resourcefulness, you're going to be doing way better right away. Looking at the Book of the Dead here, we're going critical strike chance, we're going skirmishers. Then we're going cold mages. You could go shadow, but we are sacrificing them. And then for the golems, we're dealing 30% multiplicative increased critical strike damage. I think that's pretty straightforward. Go into the abilities. Not going to spend too much time on this. You want to make sure your bone splinters are giving you the critical strike. You just need 1 rank in them. Just look at these values. Stop the video if you need to. Rewind if you need to. This is important, this blood mist. It helps you prep some corpses before the fight with Lilith. Corpse explosion. We don't even have everything on Grim Harvest. We do have everything on Fueled by Death. We're getting Bone Prison and then just the next level to increase our essence by using it. You knew we were going to get Death's Embrace as well as Death's Reach. We have our Corpse Tendrils. You know we're going the Vulnerable path. Serration, Compound Fraction, Evulsion, Fracture, Evulsion. Standalone, Memento Mori, Bone Storm, Prime Bone Storm, Supreme Bone Storm. Now, honestly, I'm not even using Bone Storm at all. You could take all 3 of these points, and you can put this on Inspiring Leader, and you can go 3 ranks. You would gain a decent attack speed, and that might help you out. I just have the Bone Spear here, but I'm not using it for Lilith's fight. And then here's Ossified Essence. And I'm just going to show you the Paragon board so you guys can do exactly what I've got here. I have not copied any other boards, so mine is going to look a little bit differently than others. We'll zoom in here and I'll just kind of pan through. You are going to want this control. I see a lot of people using Sacrifice, but in my opinion, I mean, wouldn't you want nearly 140% damage to crowd control enemies, especially if you're using tendrils? You know, the 5% damage that you get and that you boost, that 15%, I think it becomes like 30. So do you want 30% damage or do you want 140% damage? Let me just take this path here. As you level past 93, you can grab these. And oh, I believe I'm gonna have 8 more points in play here. So actually what I can do, we can take off those points. And, you know, so if you're not able to completely copy my build just because I had like an extra couple points, I can totally remove that like band right there. And one, you know, one of these random Paragon nodes that aren't actually doing something. But you guys get my drift here. After the first board, we're gonna wanna go for the bone graft, head up here, get our essence, our exploit put into play here. Grab Flesh Eater. You definitely need Flesh Eater. I didn't even mind taking this 12.5% damage to healthy enemies off. I needed the extra point elsewhere. And I also did that up here for the injured. Kind of like floor and ceiling. So we have Scent of Death here. With the Imbiber. And then finally we've got Essence, and this is the Bloodbath node. So Bloodbath, Scent of Death, Flesh Eater, Bone Graft.
Well, that's it. Let me know if you guys want to see me explain the Uber Lilith fight in more detail. I definitely don't mind. This was just getting to be a little bit long at like 18 minutes or whatever it is. So I'm going to go ahead and cut it here. Thanks, guys.